Good morning, and welcome to Module 4 for your Southern New Hampshire graduate class in managerial communication. I've got a few things I wanted to go over this week. First of all, the module chapter and title is Effective Business Messages. So we'll be focused on best way to construct business messages, kind of a few of the do's and don'ts, if you will. First of all, on your homework for this week, this is your first group assignment, and this isn't too bad. It's not anything where you have to get together and work as groups. It's a kind of a group discussion. So basically, I've got you in groups of 4 or 5. I think most of you are in groups of 5. One group is 4. You'll draft your own work. It's a internal memo on a problem with your supplier network. Somebody who's cutting some corners and doing some things definitely wrong. And so you got to draft a memo in terms of how to take care of this issue, what suggestions you would make. So I ask that you all read the assignment carefully, click into the links that are provided on the assignment so that you get the details on exactly what the assignment is. Make sure you're double clicking on those links. Look at the rubrics, look at everything. And basically your group part of your assignment is just having to, within your work group, analyze, I think it's 2 other group members' memos and make suggestions and give them feedback. So it's not anything where you've got to coordinate time, you got to coordinate time to work with, things like that. So you'll still be doing your own work, you'll just be working in groups in terms of formulating feedback and suggestions on each other's memos that you produce. So that's the homework for the week, and that's the only one that you've got for this week, so shouldn't hopefully be too bad. Back on effective business messages, a few things that I wanted to highlight on this week's content. First of all, communication, and as we talked with this course, business and professional communication is absolutely going to be key to your career prospects and your career growth. That's why this class is so important. In general, and even around you, family members, just your children, anybody that you might have as a person that you can influence, please try to get them to understand how important learning how to communicate is, both verbally, non-verbally, professionally. Even if you can muster the wherewithal to get up in front of groups and speak in front of groups, it's all vitally important in terms of managing and growing careers. And not only for careers and professional, but even for personal relationships. So as people get too used to, and I think too dependent on texting and some of the technology tools that we have, sometimes I'm afraid that we move further and further away from the general communication skills that are vitally important. Another thing I would highlight is the use of and the growth in what I call professional writing, business and professional writing. Now, this is different from traditional grammatical writing. Grammatical writing and what you learn in school in English 1, 2, and on, that stuff is important. I'm not saying it's not. But I do think there is a difference when you get into your career sector and your career segment in terms of business and professional writing. It takes on a whole new realm of its own. And so learn to do a good job. And this comes down to how you structure communication, how long communication is, how brief you can make it in some cases. But business and professional writing is its own animal. And so understand that and work on it and do some research on it. There's a lot of good stuff out on the internet in terms of how to be a better business and professional writer, even doing presentations, things like that. So I highly recommend that everybody take that stuff seriously. Another thing in terms of business and professional writing is if you send it, it's out there. It could be shared. If you send an email to somebody, it could be shared upline, could be shared with colleagues, could be shared any number of ways that maybe you hadn't anticipated. So understand that how you write and how you present things is a reflection on you. And so you don't know necessarily who all might see that. So take every communication very seriously. Proofread things. Make sure you proofread it once, twice, 3 times, many times as necessary. In some cases, have somebody else proofread for you, especially if it's an important communique. And just make sure it sounds okay. Make sure it doesn't sound negative or too bitey or too nasty, if the case may be. But just go ahead and have somebody else take a look at it if it's a really important thing. And that could be just even your spouse or significant other. It could be one of your kids. It's high school or college age. Just have somebody else take a look at it if you feel like it's a really important thing. Also, if you're emotional, if it's something that has your emotions maybe inflamed a little bit, I'm not saying you don't ever write an email or you don't ever write a communication in that setting, but here's what I do advise is write it and then set on it for 24 hours if you have that luxury, and then go back and revisit it and read it again. And many times you will have cooled down a little bit by then, and probably about 70, 80, 90% of the time plus, you're going to knock some of the rough edges, some of the sharp edges off of the communique if you wait 24 hours before you send it. And that's probably not a bad thing. Again, if you're worried about being emotional, if you're worried about being a little bit inflamed, it doesn't hurt to have somebody take a look at that for you as well and give you their opinion if you sound like you've got too much edge, if you will. So when you're putting something out there, when you're writing something professionally in a business setting, and that email goes out, it's very much like the internet. You can't necessarily get it back. Sometimes you can recall an email if you do it soon enough, but you just don't want to have to be in that situation. Just understand that whatever you send out there, it's out there, and it is going to be out there a long time. You never know who it's going to be shared with, what forms it could take. So just be very, very careful, and remember, be professional. The last thing I would say is the different types of messaging that's out there. Again, from something like this, which is a video message, to one of the things you'll notice in most cases with me when I do these video messages to all of you is I try to do them in professional settings. I have a jacket on. I try to handle myself in professional manners, but this is messaging and this is video messaging, and we're doing more and more of that. So make sure that you pay attention to that. Also think about the ways that you message with people. I generally recommend using email and not texting. Now, I know there's more and more people, more of our customers, more of our colleagues that want to go back and forth with text messaging. And it's necessary. You have to do it some. I have to do it some. But just be very leery, because when we text message, we're usually doing it on our phones. We don't have traditional keyboards, and so we could misspell stuff. We could, again, you got to proofread this stuff. You're intentionally making these things much shorter, so every word counts more, and things could definitely come off sounding short or brusque or even mean or nasty. As few words as we have to use on these things. So just be very cognizant. Again, proofread, and maybe even have someone else proofread if you have that luxury before you send something. So it's a brave new world out there. There's a lot of different ways to communicate, business and professional. avenues, but that's the good news. The bad news is they all have their own sets of rules, challenges, and opportunities. So be sure and take all this stuff very, very seriously. And that's the best advice I can give you. All right. Okay. Well, I hope you'll enjoy your group assignment. Again, don't make too heavy weather out of it. It's not something that you have to coordinate times or activities. You don't have to do any of that. You do your own work, and then you just, like you've been doing, two posts, response posts before. Now you're just doing it in a group setting. And so use all of the tools on your assignments, go into all of the things that you can click into and make sure you know how to work with everything. And if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email, or you might even be able to check with one of your classmates and maybe they figured it out. So, all right. Well, anyway, I think that's it for this week. I've really enjoyed reading your homework so far. You're all doing generally a very good job. If you're having trouble getting your assignments done on time, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I will work with everybody. Just try to stay up as much as you possibly can so you don't dig yourself too big of a hole towards the end of the module or semester. Okay, well, that's all I've got for today. Thank you all, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.